The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060. We appreciate you joining us here today on the program. The Arizona Cardinals will take on the Seattle Seahawks. And those that crunch the numbers tell us that this is the most important game of the weekend. The most important game out of any game that is going to be played this weekend in the NFL. Look up and down the calendar, look at Thursday, look at all the games on Sunday, look at Monday, pick a game. There is no game that is going to have a bigger impact on the playoff picture in either conference than Seattle against Arizona. That's it. That's the game. How can I say this so strongly? Well, the lovely folks over at FTN Fantasy, where DVOA is, some really good advanced analytics, they ran the numbers. And if the Seahawks win, that would give them a 62% chance to make the playoffs. So a Seahawks win puts their playoff percentages at 62%. The Cardinals, losing that game in that scenario, their playoff chances go to 17%. Let's flip that for a second. Let's say the Cardinals win on Sunday. So what would their playoff percentages be? A Cardinals win. Think about this. 2-game losing streak, not playing your best football, back to 500, have lost complete control of the division, need to have this game on Sunday, all the pressure in the world. You win the football game, your chances to make the playoffs go to 71%, meaning 7 out of 10 times you are going to make the playoffs. You lose, down to 17%. You win, 71%. Seattle's playoff chances, with a win like we mentioned, would be 62%. With a loss, would drop all the way to 11%. So think about that for a moment. All of the bad stuff that has happened. The 2-game losing streak, falling back to 500, Kyler Murray not playing well, blowing the 19-6 lead to Minnesota, not winning a game that you could have won against Seattle the week prior, falling now back to second place, and you got the Rams also holding on to your coattails. All of that, all of the pressure that sits on this game on Sunday, a win puts you as a 71% chance of making the playoffs. You lose, it's down to 17%. We said yesterday, without knowing these numbers, mind you, I did not know these were the numbers. Just kind of a feel thing after doing this for as long as I've been doing it. We said it's about as much of a must-win as you can get without it actually being a must-win, meaning it's an elimination game. A 17% chance of making the playoffs if you lose, a 71% chance of making the playoffs if you win. That is how important Sunday's game is for the Cardinals. That's the difference. Forget everything that's happened for 12 weeks. Forget the 2-4 start. Forget the 4-game winning streak. Forget losing the last 2 the way that you did. Forget blowing the 19-6 lead. All of it. The good, the bad, the indifferent, all the question marks, all the injuries, everything that's happened. You can throw it all out the window. All that matters, win, 71% chance of making the playoffs, lose, 17% chance. It is all right in front of them. Despite everything. It's all noise. It is one football game to give yourself an almost 3/4 chance of making the playoffs. Nearly a 75% chance of making the playoffs. I'll ask you, would you take those odds? If the Cardinals win on Sunday and have a 71% chance of making the playoffs, would you take it? Would you take a 7-6 football team that has a 71% chance of making the playoffs with 4 games to go, 2 of which are against bad football teams in the Panthers and the Patriots? Would you sign up for that? Would you take that? Well, guess what? All in their control. So I don't want to hear about the injuries. I don't want to hear about Kyler Murray's underperformance. You want to step up. You want to show everybody that you're for real. You want to have your moment as a franchise, Jonathan Gannon. You want to have your moment, Kyler Murray. You want to introduce to the national stage that this is a new era of Cardinals football, that they've got the right GM, that they've got the right coach, that they've got the right coordinators, that they made the right decision by sticking with Kyler Murray. Sunday is your chance. Sunday is the moment. You lose, we're going to come in here on Monday, and I've already told you, season's over. 17% chance to make the playoffs? Yes, mathematically still possible. But you would have handed Seattle a 2-game lead. You would have handled Seattle the tiebreaker, and that's why it's so stark. That's why it goes from 71% with a win to 17% with a loss, because you lose all control. You win, everything's in your hands. Mathematically, at least it should be. You would have control. 2 games against the division, 2 games against winnable opponents. I think that's what gets you to the 71% here is you think if the Cardinals get to 7-6, they've probably got another 2 wins there to get to 9. That probably is going to be enough to win this division. It's all right there in front of them. You lose. You fall to 6-7. You're on a 3-game losing streak. You don't have the tiebreaker. Seattle's going to own the tiebreaker. They're going to be the team that you're most worried about. You lose all control. You then are in the position of needing help. You need to close the gap and then get some help. You need help to close the gap because you need Seattle to drop a couple of games because you can't have the same record. So really, truly, in all honesty, the 2024 Cardinal season, success, failure, playoffs, not playoffs, is likely to come down to what happens on Sunday. Now, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. There is a lot of nerves that come with that. It's high stakes. But this is what the Cardinals wanted. They made a change at GM. They made a change at coach. They doubled down on Kyler Murray with a new regime. The new regime came in and said, we believe he's our quarterback. Why? Because you feel like your group can win moments like this. You might be ahead of schedule. I don't want to hear that you're ahead of schedule. I don't want to hear that really year 3 is where this thing was supposed to take off. Because I heard about that with another team in town. I heard about that with an Arizona State program that was projected to be a lot worse than you were projected to be this year. And look what they've been able to do. So I don't want to hear that we're ahead of schedule. It's going to be a success no matter what. 49ers, down year. Seattle, right there for the taking. Sunday is your chance. So all of the games this weekend, the game that has the most impact on the playoffs, that has the wildest swing, is this game for the Cardinals. Win, and you set yourself up perfectly to win this division and host a home playoff game. It is still on the table. Lose, and it's going to be another disappointing finish for this team more than likely. It is going to be another conversation that we are going to have about a team that had its chances, that had its moments, and didn't come through. So we spent a lot yesterday and Monday really, talking about how this is about as must win as you can get, how important it is for the Cardinals, how their season is still right there for them. And then I saw this tweet that had these numbers in it, and it just, I think it just further emphasized how important this game is, but seeing the math on paper showed you how much control the Cardinals take by winning this football game. Put yourself back at the beginning of the season when they started the year against Buffalo on the road. Think about that for a moment. If I sat you down before that game started and I said, I'm not going to tell you who they beat, I'm not going to tell you who they lose to, but what I am going to tell you is after 12 games in the NFL, going into week 14 of the NFL season, the Arizona Cardinals are going to be 6-6. The Arizona Cardinals are going to be 1 game out of first place. The Arizona Cardinals are going to play a game in week 14 against Seattle. And that game, if the Cardinals win, would give them a 71% chance of making the playoffs. You would have right then and there signed on the dotted line for that season. You would have signed for the roller coaster ride. You would have signed up for the ultra highs with the wins, the super lows with the lows. You would have signed up for it all because your team, this team, would have been playing meaningful December football with a home playoff game right there for the taking. You would have signed up for it. So here we are. We've gotten to that moment. That game is still on the table. So yeah, they lost 2 in a row. Yeah, they blew a 19-6 lead. Yeah, Kyler Murray probably needed to have that drive. I had that take earlier in the week. You want me to believe in you as a franchise quarterback? That's the drive that you come through with. you put your team in a position to take that field goal to win the football game. I don't necessarily care about the result, make or miss, but you at least put your team in the position to have that moment, to have the game-winning field goal attempt. You didn't. The beautiful thing about sports sometimes is you get an immediate chance at redemption. And you know what? The Arizona Cardinals get an immediate chance at redemption for the last 2 weeks. They get an immediate chance at redemption against the Seattle Seahawks, and they get immediate chance at redemption to come through in crunch time. Because it might not be ball in your hand, less than 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, driving to win the football game. It might not be that. But the entire game on Sunday is crunch time for the Arizona Cardinals. All 4 of those quarters are crunch time for the Arizona Cardinals because of the math that we just laid out for you, because of what the numbers tell you this game means for both sides. You have a chance immediately to right the wrongs of the last 2 weeks, all wrapped up in one nice early Christmas present to your fans. That's what's in front of you. Now, you might be saying, Chris, we have seen a roller coaster ride of a season. It's probably going to be another roller coaster ride. It can go either way. I would agree with you. Sunday could go either way. But if this team wants us to make that next leap from we believe they're trending in the right direction to they have now ascended into window open, games like Sunday tell us a lot. And so I told everybody we weren't going to do the fancy preview. We weren't going to break down a team that we just broke down 2 weeks ago. Here's your preview. This is your breakdown of this game. Win, 71% chance to make the playoffs. Lose, 17% chance to make the playoffs. Lose, we start doing the debrief on Monday because the math at some point is not going to math anymore. Win, a whole world of possibilities opens up for this team with the way that their schedule is for the remainder of the season. It's that simple. A chance to right the wrongs of the last 2 weeks. A chance to, in one game, wrap up everything and put yourself right back in the position you were in coming out of the bye week. It'll be a mirage those 2 weeks. That's what's in front of them.